NASCAR just handed one of its crown jewel tracks a green light for 2027, and if you're a die-hard short track fan, what's coming this Labor Day weekend is about to hit different. Darlington, too tough to tame, the track that chews up cars and spits out legends. It just locked in its 2027 dates, and buried inside that announcement is a scheduling decision that tells you exactly how NASCAR wants to close out its regular season for years to come. Stick with me because this is bigger than a date on a calendar. Here's the rundown, no fluff. Darlington gets 2 race weekends in 2027, same as always. Weekend 1 hits in early April, Friday the 2nd through Sunday the 4th, and it's a full triple header. Trucks on Friday, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series headlining Saturday, and the Cup Series closing it out Sunday with the Goodyear 400. That April weekend also doubles as NASCAR's 4th annual Alumni Weekend, meaning fans get access to legends of the sport all weekend long. Then Darlington's 2nd date does what it always does. It lands on Labor Day weekend. O'Reilly Series racing Saturday, September 4th, and the marquee event, the Cookout Southern 500, running Sunday, September 5th. That's the skeleton. Now let's talk about why it actually matters. Darlington isn't just another stop on the schedule. This track has hosted Cup Series racing since 1950. That's not a typo, 1950. We're talking about a facility that predates the modern interstate highway system, still hosting elite stock car racing in the 2020s. The Southern 500 carries weight that most other races simply don't have. And here's the key detail buried in this announcement. The 2026 version of that race, happening in just a few weeks from now, is set to open the Chase NASCAR's playoff format. So when NASCAR confirms that Darlington keeps its Labor Day slot in 2027, they're not just filling a calendar square, they're reaffirming that Darlington remains the gateway into the postseason. That's a statement about where this track sits in NASCAR's hierarchy. Some venues get shuffled year to year. Darlington doesn't. It's treated as a pillar, and there's a competitive storyline sitting right on top of this. Reddick already banked a Goodyear 400 win at this track earlier this season. So when the sport circles back to Darlington in April 2027, there's already a defending style narrative built in before a single lap is turned. Let's break down what's actually smart about this scheduling move and where the risk lives. First, the tripleheader weekend in April, stacking all 3 national series, trucks, the O'Reilly Series, and Cup, into one weekend at a track this demanding is a calculated bet. Darlington punishes mistakes, tight racing surface, aging asphalt, walls that don't forgive. Putting 3 divisions through that gauntlet in 72 hours creates a pressure cooker environment that's genuinely great theater. From a competitive standpoint, that's smart programming. It rewards precision driving and exposes weaker teams fast. The addition of Alumni Weekend to that same slate is a savvy move on the fan engagement side. NASCAR has been leaning hard into nostalgia and legacy storytelling the last few years, and pairing that with a track as historically loaded as Darlington is close to a perfect match. You're not just selling a race, you're selling 6 decades of history in one ticket. Now the risk, Darlington's Labor Day date has become something close to sacred in NASCAR circles, but sacred traditions can also become predictable. When a track slot never moves, it removes an element of unpredictability from the broader schedule conversation. Some fans want variety, others want tradition. NASCAR is clearly betting that tradition wins the argument at Darlington specifically, and given the track status, that's probably the right call. But it does mean NASCAR is trading flexibility for brand equity here. The bigger strategic question is this: by anchoring the Southern 500 as a regular season finale and playoff opener, NASCAR has turned Darlington into a de facto playoff decider. Every driver on the bubble is going to treat that Labor Day race like a cliff edge. That raises the stakes, raises the drama, and raises the ratings potential, but it also raises the odds of controversial, aggressive racing when points are on the line. We've seen it before at this exact track. Expect it again. Traditionalist fans are going to love this. Darlington keeping its Labor Day date and its April tripleheader format is exactly the kind of stability that older NASCAR audiences have been asking for amid years of schedule shakeups elsewhere on the calendar. Casual and newer fans might shrug at a schedule release story until they realize what's tied to it. Once the playoff implications of that Southern 500 slot get explained, engagement tends to spike. This isn't a boring date announcement. It's a preview of where playoff pressure boils over first. Media analysts will likely frame this as NASCAR doubling down on heritage venues at a moment when the sport is also experimenting with new markets and street courses elsewhere. Expect commentary contrasting Darlington's stability with the volatility of other parts of the 2027 slate once the full schedule drops. Best case, Darlington's April tripleheader becomes one of the most talked about weekends of the entire 2027 season. Alumni Weekend draws a massive crowd. The racing lives up to the track's brutal reputation, and the Southern 500 in September delivers a chaotic, playoff-defining finish that dominates sports headlines for a week straight. Worst case, scheduling fatigue sets in. If Darlington's dates start to feel too predictable year after year, some fans and even some drivers publicly question whether the sport needs to shake up its playoff opening venue to keep things fresh. That narrative could gain traction if the on-track product underwhelms in either 2026 or 2027. Either way, all eyes are on that Labor Day weekend. So here's a question I want answered in the comments. Should Darlington's Southern 500 stay locked in as the permanent gateway into the NASCAR playoffs? Or is it time for the sport to rotate that pressure onto a different track? Drop your take below. Tell me if you're team tradition or team shake it up. If breakdowns like this are your kind of racing content, make sure you're subscribed because we're covering every angle of the road to 2027 right here.